Hello folks and welcome. This is Flat Cap Callum and this is the final part, so part 3 of our Cheltenham Ante-post series, focusing on the value in the market at the Cheltenham Festival 2022. So predominantly here what we are looking at is, when I say value, the horses that I perceive right now, if you put a bet, they are value for money. So we are not focusing on favourites. So every single horse we're going to talk about on the channel on this video is a double figure price on this specific episode. So they are all double figure prices. So there are 9 handicaps at the Cheltenham Festival and we're going to cover 8 today. The only one we're not looking at is the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Hurdle, purely because the horses are predominantly unexposed and it's difficult at the moment really to read the form. So I'm leaving it out because I find it the most tricky one to do. So what we've got today are the 4 main handicap hurdles and the 4 main handicap chasers. I'll talk you through the chasers, I'll talk you through the hurdles, I'll give you my best bets and I'll give you the best value. If you're new to this and you're not familiar with what we do on the channel, every day there are daily videos. We use a £20 stake. It's all advised through Skybet and we do focus on value in the market. So looking at the horses that are value for money as opposed to the ones that are most likely to win at 4 to 6 on or whatever it might be. Currently the channel, if you went on today, we're nicely comfortably in profit from what we're doing. We only started doing the channel sort of early part of January. So if you like this video, feel free to watch the other Cheltenham videos. Likewise, feel free to watch the daily video. Okay, we'll get cracking into it. I'm going to go through it fairly swiftly because we've got 8 races to cover. Okay, first up, I've got the Ultima. So what you've got here is 2 horses. So for every race, I've either got a short list of 2, 3 or 4 horses that I'm going to talk about. And I've listed them really probably I would say in order of value. So not specifically price, but how I perceive value. So the form versus the odds really. So a lot of people look at odds and think it's the chance of winning. I disagree with that. Odds just are a guide to value. The chance of winning comes from reading the form. So number 1, Fullback. I think it's an incredibly well handicapped horse. 14 to 1 is a really big price for that horse. It's a horse I've been following all season to see where it's going to end up. And for me, by quite some way, that's the best bet I would say for the Ultima. It's a really solid horse. The second horse I've got there is Grand Paradise. Now, as is the case with a lot of the horses I'm going to talk about, they are entered for multiple handicaps. And you never quite know which handicap they're going to turn up with. So with Grand Paradise, it's a very unexposed horse coming over from Ireland. And I think my read of the form says that whichever race it does turn up in, it should run a very decent race. I think Gordon Elliott's going to send up quite a few horses over for these chase races, clearly. But Grand Paradise is the one. It's the only one of Gordon Elliott's that I've got on the channel on this video today. So they're my 2 for the Ultimate. Fullback is my number 1. Okay. Number 2 race, we've got the Grand Annual. I've got a list of 4 here, and there's quite a bit of value knocking around in the Grand Annual. It is a run at a really fast paced over big obstacles because you are prone to a few fallers and kind of bumping and scrimmaging in there. So there are a lot of hard luck stories. So it's a hard race to try and get right for this far out. But that's my short list. I've got Before Midnight 12 to 1 is kind of a number 1 pick really. Editeur de Gite, that's incredibly solid form over course and distance. So I think 14 to 1 is a decent enough price. Then I've got 2 there at bigger prices. I've got a Gumball, which it's a bit of an overlooked kind of horse really. It's dual purpose horse. But actually from a handicap point of view, I think it's actually really well handicapped, and 33 to 1 is a very big price in my view. It will get overlooked in the market. I can't see it coming in massively. So I think it's a fairly solid 33 to 1, but well worth having a look at. And then we've got Destined to Shine, which again has been running really consistently, that horse. So from a handicap point of view, it looks handicapped to do a solid enough race. I don't think it's the horse that's going to win that race, but in the context of paying multiple places, I think it's a value bet from an each way point of view. So they are my 4 for the Grand Annual. Next up, I've got the Cheltenham Plate. Again, 4 against the field. So this is on Thursday of the 3rd day of the meeting. Fusel Raffles, number 1 pick. It's a really competitive race. I think that horse is so well handicapped in that race. it should be single figure odds. I can't understand why it's not. So Fusel Raffles is the number one pick in there. Really, really solid form. Then you've got a couple in there, Spirit of the Games, Vienna Court, both decent over course and distance. Yeah, I think 16 to 1 is still a decent enough price for those two. They're fairly exposed in terms of you know where you're at with what you're going to get, but they should both run a solid enough race. And again, they've got place opportunities. Probably unlikely for a win, but place opportunities. And then the fourth one now I've added in a bigger price, so present and counting. So it does look like Donald McCain might only be sending one horse, if he does even send this one there. Most of its form is on good ground, and so it's unproven on soft. But if it's the only horse he's sending, I think he's sending it for a reason. So if it does turn up at 33 to 1, I think it's worth a nibble. I've already mentioned this horse before on one of the other videos because it's entered into the Turner's Novice. I don't think it's going to run there. I think it's going to run in the plate. And I think it's worth a little nibble at 33s. So that's my 4 for the Cheltenham plate. And then the last chase we've got is the Muir. So got, again, 4 on the list here. And this top one in there, it's my sort of best one for the race. But again, it's one of those ones where it's entered in multiple races. So Géricault Roquet, I've probably pronounced that terribly, but that's what I've gone with. So that's in the Muir. It's a pipe horse. He does very well running chases over at Cheltenham Festival, and 14 to 1. I think it's a generous price. It does look like it could be running in the Ultima ultimately, but if it goes Muir, I think 14 is a really good price for that horse. I've then got Deal Kerr, smallest price I've got of anything on this video today. I think it's worth its place. It's still a bit of value at 10 to 1. It is very unexposed, and again, it could run there. It could run the Ultima, but I think it might end up coming here, and 10 to 1's an okay price. Then got 2 slightly bigger prices. Got Lascalins. It's one of the 2 Venetia Williams horses I've got up on the video today. So 20 to 1. It's a very, very solid horse. It seems to run fairly consistently, and I think there's some value there from a place point of view at 20 to 1. And the 4th horse under supervision. So if I'd done this video last week, that horse would have been 33 to 1 because it went and won at the weekend. So it is a bit of an unlikely horse whether it actually turn up or not, but I still think there's value in 16 to 1 because it clearly exploited the handicap market was on. And it won't go up for Cheltenham. So 16 to 1's a decent enough price if it does recover enough and run there. That's my 4 for the Muir. I'm then into Hurdle Land. So Coral Cup, it might have the most entries, but I've only got 2 against the field in here. I Am Maximus, 10 to 1. Now you can get smaller in different firms. And it's important to flag, all the prices I'm quoting here are currently on Skybet. You can get better prices on some of these with other bookmakers. These are all Skybet prices. 10 to 1 is huge. I know it doesn't sound huge at 10 to 1. The horse has got an entry in the Ballymore. I don't think it's going to go there. I think it's going to come here. And if it does come here, it looks so well handicapped to me. So that's the one for my number 1 pick there. But at a price, call me Lord, 25s. You can get that a lot shorter in other bookies. But Skybet are offering you 25 at the moment. That's a very, very generous price for a horse that's got some very decent form in the book. So that's my 2 for the Coral Cup. And then Pertemps Network, again 2 against the field I've got here. Third Wind, it's entered in the stayers. I think it won't go stayers. I think it will come here, and 20 to 1 for a horse that has previously run well in the stayers. It looks a good price. It's handicapped well enough. So 20 to 1, it's my number 1 pick for value there. And then the other one I've got a big price. I've got Eminent Poet, and this is the other Venetia Williams one. So it was out for 2.5 years. It ran at Exeter a few weeks ago and put in a decent enough performance from a horse that's not run for 2.5 years. So if it doesn't have a bounce factor and it comes on a little bit, it's not the right sort of profile for a horse in this race. But 50 to 1, I couldn't leave it out because I think it's really, really a massive price. So those are my 2. And then I've got County Hurdle, 4 horses. 4 horses in the County Hurdle. So we've got First Street, 14 to 1. I've backed this on the channel in the Betfair Hurdle when it was placed, and I'm taking it as my number 1 horse here in the County Hurdle at 14s. It did have entries in the Supreme. I think it's probably going to end up here, and I still think it's got some room to wiggle with it, that handicap mark. So 14 to 1 is a decent price. Boot Hill's a Harry Fry one. He knows how to turn out horses at Cheltenham as well. It's really, really unexposed, that horse. I mean, most of the field in the County Hurdle is really unexposed, but I think there's enough I've seen in that to say that price again is a little bit generous. And then I've stuck two big ones in. Now, both these, again, a bit like under supervision, ran at the weekend, so they may class as unlikely turner-uppers, if we're going to go with that phrase, Straw Fan Jack and Elvis Mail. But they've both got a decent enough mark, I think, that 66 to 1 is too much of a big price. They are more exposed than a lot of the field. So I think that these are definitely two where, rather than putting a bet now, the price isn't going to go in massively. So it's more of a, let's get to Friday of Cheltenham week and see if they're still there, because they'll still be a similar enough price. So I wanted to include them in there. So that's the County Hurdle. I've then got the Martin Pipe, which is the last of the hurdles. We've got some decent prices in here. We've got 3 against the field. Chutterbello, I backed it last time and it ran, and unfortunately it fell. I think this is its race. It's got other entries, but I think this is the one. I think they're likely to put a decent conditional on that horse. 18 to 1 is generous. I think it's better in this than the Coral Cup. It's ended in both. I think this distance is probably where it needs to be. Then got Gary Clermont, which I think is a fairly solid enough horse, and 20 to 1 just look a little bit big. And then last one's interesting one is Grumpy Charlie. So it's a small trainer in terms of small yard, but 25 to 1. The horse has got 2 entries in chase races. I don't like it for the chasers. This is the race for me that I'm hoping this is where it comes, because I think it's got a decent enough chance at a nice price, Grumpy Charlie at 25 to 1. So those are my 3 for the Martin Pipe. And then to conclude, best hurdle bets. These are the 4. So if I was going to pick a horse in each of the hurdle races right now, so we're talking about, it's the 7th of March, so we're nearly just over a week towards Cheltenham. I'd go Coral Cup, Iron Maximus, Pertemps, Third Wind, County Hurdle, First Street, Martin Pipe, Chutterbello. They're my 4 for the hurdles. Best value for the chasers: Ultima, Fullback, Grand Annual Before Midnight, Cheltenham Plate, Fusel Raffles, Muir, Jericho, Roque. They're my 4 for the chasers. And then finally, these are the 4 at a price that I like the most. So best of the big prices: Coral Cup, Call Me Lord, 25s, I think it's massive. Grand Annual Gumball, 33s, massive. Pertemps, Eminent Poet, 50s, massive. Martin Pipe, bit more of a dodgy one. The price is good, but whether it turns up there, 25s is good. That's what I've got for you. Now, the caveat with all of this is, these are the prices, these are my selections on the 7th of March. These selections and these prices might be completely different when it gets to Cheltenham week. I'm looking at an Ante-post market, and I'm thinking, if you put in these on non-runner no bet specifically, so you get your money back if it doesn't turn up, these are my best bets right now. But the important thing is, this is about value, and that's where I see the value now. On the actual race day, the market might look different, the entries might look different, and I might come different conclusions. That's what I'm saying right now is the best value as I see it from here. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that whistle-stop tour of kind of an alternative way of looking at the Cheltenham handicap races with value. If you like the video, feel free to like it, subscribe to the channel if you want to watch the daily videos. Either way, I'd love to hear what you think, and I'm going to end it there, and thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.